The Arlington and Sandgate school districts have been reassigned to the Southwest Vermont Supervisory Union, and the Battenkill Valley Supervisory Union, where they used to call home, will be dissolved. That was a decision handed down by the State Board of Education when it met in Barre, Vermont, on Thursday, November 15th. The State Board is working to finalize a report due by November 30th, which will establish where school districts which had not yet voluntarily merged under Act 46, the state's educational governance consolidation law passed in 2015, would wind up. But the action to redraw the boundaries of the SVSU to include both Arlington and Sandgate by July 1, 2021, took place under earlier statutory authority granted to redraw supervisory union boundaries, when it was deemed by educational officials that such a revision would increase operational efficiency and enhance learning opportunities for students. Up until recently, it was widely assumed that both the Arlington and Sandgate school districts were more likely to migrate northwards and become part of the Bennington-Rutland Supervisory Union, even though school officials there had made it clear to members of the State Board of Education they were unenthusiastic about that, having had their hands full digesting the creation of the Taconic and Green Regional School District, which brought together 6 former separate school districts, and another merger involving the school districts of Rupert and Paulet. That argument found traction with the State Board, which opted to send them southwards towards the Bennington-based SVSU, despite the fact that SVSU Superintendent James Culkeen noted that neither he nor any of the SVSU board members had discussed the concept in depth, or with their counterparts at the Battenkill Valley Supervisory Union.
I ask the members here, do you support this proposal?
I haven't had enough time to actually study this proposal. My first knowledge of it to this vote is 10 days. So I can't honestly answer whether I support it or oppose it.
And your colleagues?
I'm from BVSU, so I'm not really directly impacted. I guess I would be if it was if the assignment was to us. But yes, our board submitted a letter to you stating that at this point we feel we have been undergoing merger since 2013. We've done 3 mergers. We really don't feel we have the capacity as an organization to continue down that path.
And do you offer, just in your SU, is there a public high school?
Oh, that's correct. We do not operate a public high school, so that would be a whole new challenge for us.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We have none of our, we never have, so that would be a whole new experience.
I'm going to, can you hear me? I'm going to reiterate what Superintendent Culkeen said, that it could work, but I think the last I heard was on the 1029 meeting that it was presented here. So I think that more time could be needed, but certainly the BVSU wouldn't be opposed to it. But it's tough to formulate an opinion on whether it would work or not on a couple weeks. I know that Jim and I tried to line up some labor contracts and some other things, and all 3 of us work really well together, but we're just asking for a little bit more time.
Krista Huling, the chairwoman of the State Board of Education, queried them on the extent of their conversations.
So did you not have conversations with your neighbors after that June 1st report was sent out? Well, and what were those conversations like then?
I think that we had conversations dating back to 2010, actually, that I think it's been targeted by this body to, it was a small SU, but generally I would say 95% of the discussions over the last 4 or 5 years have been with the BRSU, and we've just never talked with the SVSU.
Superintendent Culkeen noted the SVSU also has some governance work to deal with.
Financially, it's the impact of legal services that we're not budgeted for what this merger would look like. That's the first one that I could think of come to mind. And the other impact for me is, we're gearing up for a merger of 4 elementary districts into one, and that's going to have to go live by 19.
The dissolution of the Battenkill Valley Supervisory Union doesn't mean the end of the 2 component school districts. They will continue to exist, and schools in Arlington, where most of the students from the 2 towns attend, will remain open. The reassignment goes into effect on July 1, 2021, which was a year later than initially proposed. The State Board of Education amended their decision to give local school officials more time to work through the transition. Afterwards, we talked with both Superintendents Jackie Wilson of the BRSU and William Basic of the BVSU for their reaction to the decision.
I mean, I suppose unexpected is not the right word, but because we did have 2 weeks, basically, when we were told that this was going to be on the agenda to prepare for it. But disappointed with the process. I don't think it was very Vermont-like. We've been trying to partner with the BRSU. When I mean the BRSU, there's multifaceted, large organization from school board members all the way down to community members and other constituents. And there was a general understanding all along that if the BVSU was going to be reassigned, that it would be assigned to the BRSU, and we've been working with them. So it was, still kind of just wondering why now, why so quickly. But I do want to say that, in the last 2 weeks, we've also been talking with the SVSU, and we are finding out the advantages and such that it will be to go down there. So, we are excited. We were happy we have 2.5 years. And we're going to, I think the largest thing too is we keep our school board out of this, and that's exciting as well. So we will always have our own school board, our own school district, and be able to do things such as hire our own principals, hire our own employees, and have the superintendent's evaluation, which is important as well. So which is good because a lot of towns didn't get that out of Act 46.
So what in effect will change practically for students and the towns of Arlington and Sandgate? It sounds like basically the status quo is going to be pretty much the same as it was before, except you'll belong to a different supervisory union. Yeah,
well, we haven't really talked about how things will change. I mean, I think that was also one of the disappointments about not joining the BRSU. I think that people took probably the wrong look at us joining the BRSU. I think it was this idea that we were gonna, they were gonna come in and kind of tell us what to do and try to improve us, if they will. But that's not the way we viewed it down here at the BVSU. We're doing some really good things here, and some of the conversations we had with the BRSU was having a public high school in the BRSU, and that's important too because there's these acts don't end. There's a new act coming out. It's called Act 173. That's really going to reinvent how special ed is done within the state of Vermont. And one of the theories of going to the BRSU was we have frankly we have much better high school special ed because we run a public high school. If you are a high schooler in the BRSU, you essentially go to a independent school, and that independent school bills back the costs of the special ed service to the BRSU. Under this new law, you're going to get a finite amount of money. Basically, well, they're going to a Massachusetts model, which I'm very familiar with. It's a great model, but you're going to get a finite chunk of money. And once that money is spent, you then have to come out of your local budget to fund your special ed children. So the idea of us going into the BRSU, when we kind of looked at this, was an advantage, that we had things to offer. So I am a little nervous, as an educator in the area about what the BRSU is going to do now for some of their special ed students because the cost could run up. So that was one of the things we were looking for at the BRSU. And so we're looking, now working with Jim Colcane, Superintendent Colcane down in the SVSU, and looking also at what now can we bring to them, and where can we partner up, what can we improve, and make sure that we're continue really good programming here and hopefully enhance some programming down there as well.
Superintendent Wilson said that trying to take on another complicated merger at this time would be extremely challenging for their supervisory union.
Well, I mean, from our perspective from the BRSU, it is what the BRSU board had requested of the State Board of Education. And we've been going, we've been having conversations off and on with Battenkill Valley over the last couple of years. And I would say a couple of years ago, we were really positioned to start to make that transition. They had some changes in their board members, and they backed off from that, and there seemed to be an interest in exploring other possibilities they were looking at, so those conversations stopped. So being on the other side of all of our merger work now. When I realized this was going to be on the state board's agenda, that did surprise me a little bit that it was going to come up this quickly. But when I realized it was on the state board agenda, I called the BVSU board together again. We had an emergency meeting. We talked about that. I met with all of my my internal administrative team, and I asked them, I said, I want to make a recommendation to our BVSU board. What do we feel our capacity is to handle yet another merger? And we wanted to be good neighbors. We try to be good neighbors, but at the end of the day, my responsibility is to really watch out for the health and the welfare of this organization. And with my conversations with my colleagues, I really felt that we going through merger yet again, not merger, but a reassignment, which has a lot of the same, you deal with a lot of the same issues as merger, was just not something that I felt was for the good of this organization. I mean, and so I was pretty strong, and I just don't think it's what we should do right now. We've been undergoing merger since 2013. We were the first ones to work with Mountain Town Red. We'd had Taconic and Green. We've had the Meadowy merger. It's been about all that we've been able to focus on for the last 5 years. It's been a lion's share of our work. And it's time for us to transition to the other goals of Act 46 when we're looking at opportunity for students, we're looking around issues of equity and access for students. So I view my work now in Act 46 has entered a whole new realm of when we are looking at programming across all of our schools. How can we do business differently so that we can better meet the needs of all of our kids? We're looking at curriculum. Is it being taught with fidelity? Where it's not, how do we need to shift that? What programs are we going to say all of our kids will have exposure to? Where are we going to give choice? Those are huge discussions, and they're incredibly important, and we have not been able to keep those on the front burner because we've been very distracted from all of the work around the governance work. And it's in the best interest of this organization to not have to engage in further Act 46 governance work.
A community meeting in Arlington was held on Tuesday, November 20th, to discuss all of this, and we'll have a separate report on that shortly. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.